Hey guys, this is Mr. Bergini, and today we are going to be talking about graphing linear inequalities for your lesson today. So here's your first worksheet that you need to be working on. So the first step here is we need to talk about getting y by itself. Remember that when dividing or multiplying by negative, flip the inequality, and that's very important. Step 2 is we're going to graph the inequality just like you would a linear equation. And then we got some things to consider when it comes to inequalities. First, it starts with a solid line and also a dashed line. And then step 3 is use a point test to determine which half to shade. Okay, so we're going to look at problem number 1. And problem number 1 is 3x minus y is less than 2. And the first step is to get y by itself. So what we're going to do is I'm going to rewrite the problem to start off. So I'm going to rewrite 3x minus y is less than 2. And the first thing we got to do is get that 3x over to the other side. So I'm going to subtract the 3x to both sides. And that will get rid of the 3x on the one side. And what we're going to have left is negative y is less than 2 minus 3x. The next thing is we notice is we have a negative y, so we got to move that negative, and that will also help us know that we need to flip the sign, the inequality that we have here. So we need to divide both sides by negative 1, and remember, you need to divide everyone by a negative 1. The negative 1s will go away, and so they'll have y by itself. So we'll have y, and now the sign will flip to a greater than sign. And notice that it goes from greater than because it was less than, now it is greater than because of the negative. And it's going to be negative 2. 2 divided by negative 1 is negative 2, and then plus 3x. So negative 3x divided by negative 1 is 3x. So that is our equation. Now, if you want to and put it in mx plus b form, you're going to flip the 3x. So you're going to put y is greater than 3x minus 2. And as you can see, I messed up on the paper there, but that's okay. So our equation would be y equals y is greater than 3x minus 2. So now we need to graph. And when we look at it, we need to pay attention to the sign it gives, in which this sign will tell us it's going to be a dotted line. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to plot the y-intercept on the graph, which is negative 2. And then I'm going to use the slope, which is 3. And remember, it is 3 over 1, so I'm going to go up 3 and right 1, up 3 and right 1. And I'll do it one more time, up 3, right 1. Now remember, you can also go backwards, so when I go up, I will now go down 3, left 1. And as you can see, it's a consistent little pattern that you have there on your graph. Make a dotted line or dash, that doesn't matter. Kind of like what we did earlier in the year with this. Make a dashed line. And now we're off to the point test. Now this is something we did earlier in the year. Okay, use the point test to determine which side, which half the shade, because you're going to need this later in this class period. So you need to look at your y-intercept, negative 2. So in the problem, you have a greater than sign. So rewrite the problem as y is greater than negative 2. Look at your graph and go to negative 2. And then what is greater than negative 2? The points above that y-intercept. So that is the area we are going to shade. Everything above that line is where we're going to shade. And that is our answer to this problem. Now remember, shading is involved, so if you want to use colors to shade, then that would be a very good idea. Alright, so now we're going to move on to number 2. In number 2, we're going to, again, make sure we have this in mx plus b form so we can graph. So the first step again is get y by itself. This problem's in reverse. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the y to the other side, and we're going to move the x minus 1 to the other, and what we're going to do basically is essentially just flip this sign. So we're just going to reverse where they are. So now we have y is less than x minus 1. Okay, so all we did was we just move everybody around and just did like a little circle and just put everybody on the other side where they were and just did like a complete 180. Okay, and yes, it's the same thing. Okay, so we want to check to make sure that's the same thing. It is, because basically you've done it. Okay, and you've also got y by itself, so that's good. Now remember, you got to graph this guy, and he's also a dotted line because of the less than symbol. So again, we're going to plot -1 as the y-intercept. You're going to go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1 as you're going up the graph. That is your slope. And then when you want to go backwards, you got to go down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1. Okay? And so there's your little line. And again, it's a dotted line, so you're going to dash the line or make dots on it. And then you need to determine where the shade. Okay, use the point test. Again, you want to use the idea that it's y less than, so you're going to say y is less than your y-intercept, which is -1. You go at -1, and what is less than -1? The points below -1. And that's going to be your area where you will shade for your answer. And again, if you want to use colors, that will be very good, and it will make your area more noticeable, and you know what the solution is. Now go to the back of this worksheet and finish the worksheet, and then move on to the next worksheet.